Hi everybody, it's Richard here again and welcome to another video. This time I'm going to take a look at a genre that I like, but I wouldn't say I'm the biggest fan of. I think it's a lot to do with looking back and being nostalgic about it, because whenever I was about 14, 15, Synth Pop stroke New Romantic, I'm going to group the two of them together, were the big rage in the UK. The difference between the two I can only put down really as the synth pop would be maybe a little bit more catchy, but the main difference is the makeup. The New Romantics claried themselves with makeup. Some of the synth pop bands didn't. Now, a big influence on them was David Bowie with his Low album, which he was influenced by the German krautrock, I think, from the mid-70s, the Kraftwerks and the Noise or whatever. I'm not too sure. But I'm going to concentrate on the years from 1979 and cut off at 1982 and show you some albums from my collection. Now, all these albums are at least decent, but I'm going to be honest as well, and I'm going to say whether I think the band, for me, can be just best served with the greatest hits. So we'll start off with, this is actually a recent one that I bought within the last couple of years or so, and it's a band I never warmed to, and it's Depeche Mode, and it's their debut album from '81, Speak and Spell. I bought this primarily because of New Life and just can't get enough. And I know a lot of people in the VC love this band, so I thought I'll give this a chance. I'm not overly keen. It's not brilliant. It's the only Depeche Mode album I have, although I wouldn't mind a greatest hits CD, because there are LP or even a CD, because there's some songs I do quite like. For example, See You and the Meaning of Love, but then they went all industrially and no. But I never really warmed to these guys, so this is the first up. None of these albums are ranked or anything. I'm just going to show them as they come. Also in '81, and I'm including Eurythmics, In the Garden. Now, this is their debut album after Dave and Annie left the Tourists, and the singles off this were Never Gonna Cry Again, which I think is like a New Romantic classic. It's a beautiful, beautiful song. Belinda has got a little bit more guitars in it. It's more a rock song. Their next album, which I really wanted to include, but it was released in '83, so I couldn't, Sweet Dreams. It's very synth heavy, and I think it's really, really good. Yes, Eurythmics, they have some good albums. This, Sweet Dreams, Touch and Revenge is a good pop album, so no, a greatest hits is not just, would not suffice, put it that way. So Eurythmics, In the Garden from '81. Also from '81, and it's the Human League's Dare, and this is a brilliant album. Yeah, this has got the 4 hit singles: The Sound of the Crowd, Love Action, Don't You Want Me, and Open Your Heart. It's a brilliant, brilliant album. It's one of the best sellers of '81. I think it was the bestseller of '82 actually. But yeah, the 2 albums before this are quite good as well, Travelogue and Reproduction, before the 2 girls came in. The one after it's not bad either, Hysteria. So a greatest hits would not be enough for me. So Dare from '81. Now, Soft Cell released this, and a lot of people love this album, Non-Stop Erotic Cabaret. I can't get into it. I do love the singles, but the rest of it I just cannot get into at all. Now, I do like their The Art of Falling Apart album much more than this, even though I don't think it's overly brilliant. But the singles off this are great: Bedsitter, Tainted Love, and Say Hello, Wave Goodbye. But this is one case where, if I'm being honest, this is enough Soft Cell for me, because it includes those 3 hits plus What, Torch, Numbers, Where the Heart Is, both which were on The Art of Falling Apart, and then the 2 '83 singles, Soul Inside and Down the Subway, and this is a good album. So really, this is all I need for Soft Cell. Next up from '82, and it's Sulk by the Associates, and this has got the fantastic Party Fears 2 on it, so this will always stay in my collection. Club Country is also on this, but disappointingly 18 Karat Love Affair, I think it's the 18 Karat Love Affair, is not on this copy of the album. It may be in other copies and it's on the CD version. Now I do have their follow-up and it's not bad either, but I wouldn't even bother getting the greatest hits of these guys. This is really all you need. Silk. It's a difficult album to get into, but once you do, it's pretty good. So this came out in '82. One where you might smile and is Spandau Ballet. And you think, wow, are these guys synth pop or new romantic? Well, this first album, Reformation, is, and the first single off this is one of the best new romantic singles ever. To cut a long story short, this came out in 1980. The two other singles off this are brilliant. The Freeze and Muscle Bound, and there's some really good songs off this. Mandolin, Toys, Confused. It's very, very good. Now after this album they went a little bit more clubby and dancey with their second album, which I don't have, but I know the singles from it, and then they went very slick with the true album. So yes, a greatest hits is necessary for Spandau Ballet, but I still, which is this one here, the singles collection, is very good, but I still think that first album is well worth having. So Spandau Ballet. And if you talk about Spandau Ballet, you talk about Duran Duran, and their first album is excellent. Their first three albums are very good. This, Rio, and Seven and the Ragged Tiger. Now this features the three singles, Girls on Film, the brilliant Planet Earth, and the one that didn't do too well, Careless Memories, which is very good. And I remember seeing them doing Anyone Out There on the old Grey Whistle Test. These guys were more new romantic, you can tell by the makeup, but then they got mega successful and mainstream. But still, the first three albums are well worth having, and I know a lot of people still are big fans of Duran Duran after, say, The Wild Boys or the one for James Bond, A View to a Kill. I just lost interest, but still, those first three albums. Okay, 1982, and it's Visage the Anvil. Now this is a pretty good album, and it's got the brilliant Damn Don't Cry on it, as well as Night Train. The Anvil itself is a fantastic song. This is their best album. Now I've only heard two of their albums. The one before this was the one with Fade to Grey on it and Mind of a Toy. So I do really like this and I wouldn't get rid of it. But if I'm being honest, I would really be happy enough with this here, which is the singles collection, Fade to Grey, especially as it includes the Anvil on it, which wasn't a single, which I don't think it was anyway. Well, if it was, it didn't chart. And this has Fade to Grey, Mind of a Toy, Visage, which is a great song, as well as the aforementioned songs from the Anvil album. So Visage, a very new romantic. I'm going to include this as part of Synth Pop, and it's Sparks. Now these aren't a synth pop band, but they did branch out and do two synth pop albums, one in '79, which is this, the number one song in heaven, or number one in heaven, and it's not a bad album. It's got three really good singles off it: Beat the Clock, number one song in heaven, and Try It's for the Human Race, as well as Dolce Vita, which is a really good song as well, and Academy Award performance. Yeah, the one after this, Terminal Jive, was not very good at all, but this is a good album. And Ron and Russell Mael, no, you just don't need a greatest hits for these guys, you need a full back catalogue, which is vast. So Sparks, number one in heaven. Ultravox in 1981, and this would be my favourite of their albums, and it's Rage in Eden. And this has the two singles, The Voice and The Thin Wall, on it. This was the follow-up to the Vienna album, which I think this is slightly better overall as an album. But if I'm being honest, I think with Ultravox, this really is all you need, the collection. And this is all the singles from the mid-year years right up to Love's Great Adventure in 1984, and this is a fantastic album. Now I'll admit I have never heard any Ultravox from the John Fox years, so I just don't know what they're like, but this fantastic album. Orchestral Manoeuvres in the Dark, my favourite album is from '83, but I'm going to include this one, and it's '81's Architecture, Immorality, with the three huge hit singles, Joan of Arc, Maid of Orleans, and Souvenir. But you also get a lot of other great songs. This is a fantastic album, and I would advise you look for other OMD albums. Organisation from 1980 is brilliant as well. They did go very pop after about 84, but they're still very good albums. There's always something on an OMD album which is really good. Now, you wouldn't call these guys New Romantic because Andy McCluskey used to wear tank tops and all the rest of it. He looked so uncool. But these boys were very heavily influenced by the Kraftwerks and so forth. So OMD. Architecture Immorality from 1981. From 1982, and Yazoo, Upstairs at Eric's, and this is a fantastic album, as is this one, their follow-up in 1983, which I can't really count, You and Me Both. Now, they only had 2 albums, so there isn't really a greatest hits, although you can get one on CD, which is well worth having. But for vinyl wise, these 2 albums are great. Upstairs at Eric's includes the hits Only You and Don't Go, as well as fantastic songs like The Catchy Bad Connection, The Beautiful Midnight, In My Room's great. It's just a real fantastic synth pop album. So Yazoo, Upstairs at Eric's. An album I've shown quite a bit, and it's from 82 as well. It's Blancmange, Happy Families, another synth pop classic. Yeah, their follow-up, Mange 2 in 84, was really good as well. The one after that wasn't so good, but this is brilliant with Living on the Ceiling, Waves, God's Kitchen, I've Seen the World, Sad Day, a really, really good album. So yes, this and the second one, Mange 2, really are all you need. Although the third one, Believe You Me, has got a couple of decent songs on it, like What's Your Problem and Lurian's My Nurse. But the overall, the album's not the same quality. Okay, from 1979, and I'm picking Gary Newman's Pleasure Principle. Now, Gary Newman, his albums are easy to get and they're all very cheap. That's why I've got quite a few of them. This is the one with Cars on it, and the very underrated Complex. Airlane's really good, as is Metal. His next album's not bad either, Telecon, but it's all very samey, and to be honest, that's really all you need with Gary Newman. And this is Exhibition, and this takes the singles plus the best LP tracks. It's a double album from the first Tubeway Army album up to and including the Warriors album in 83. So it's whenever he was on the Beggars Banquet label, that's when he was most prolific. So this is an excellent album, and I could get rid of the rest of them and I wouldn't be in despair because I've got this one. And lastly, I'm going to pick the band Japan. This is Gentlemen Take Polaroids from 1980, I believe, it might be 81, and this is the one with my favourite Japan song on it called Swing. It's got a beautiful song on it called Night Porter, and Methods of Dance is brilliant, and the title track is brilliant. A lot of people know Tin Drum, it would be my second favourite of theirs, but yeah, you do need some Japan albums. A greatest hits wouldn't be enough. Quiet Life is also an excellent album, and Assemblage is like a compilation album which is well worth getting as well. The first 2 glammy ones I'm not as keen on, but Japan, they are a good band, and David Sylvian, I think, was voted in 1981 as the most beautiful man in the world. I don't know, but there you go. So yeah, it's good to have some Japan. I don't even think they had a greatest hits as such on vinyl. I think they changed labels quite a bit, so any hits albums were only from that label, which wasn't really representative of the band as a whole. So Japan, Gentlemen Take Polaroids. So there's a list of some of my New Romantic and stroke synth pop albums from 79 to 82. And as I said, some of them I really do like. It's a genre I come back to now and again, but not that often. But whenever I do come back to it, I always enjoy it, but I don't stay that long. Okay, I hope you enjoyed that, and I hope to have another video quite soon. All the best now. Bye bye.